Steelers are fresh off a victory versus the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football in Heinz Field. And what was an incredibly ugly game on both sides of the football by both teams, but especially an ugly victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which saw the defense hilariously and thankfully, most importantly, scoring more touchdowns than the Steelers offense. And that is what gave us our victory versus the Browns.
Yeah, had it not been for those 2 defensive touchdowns or just the turnovers in general, we probably would have lost that game against Cleveland.
But that is a testament of where this team lies right now, where the Steelers offense lies, where our offensive coordinator lies.
And the fact that our defense has scored just as many touchdowns than the Steelers offense has scored so far in 2 weeks is pretty...
It's telling. It's incredibly telling, man. It really is. And it was evident last night versus the Browns of just how bad our offense was. There was literally no growth, no improvement from week 1 or even no growth from last year from, let's be honest, from anybody outside of maybe George Pickens and maybe some guys in the ground game. That's it. There was no growth from an overall aspect. No improvement. Nothing was gained whatsoever. No positive to be said about the offense from that game. And it gives us absolutely zero reason to be confident heading forward into the regular season. Because you already know you can't really get your hopes up. You already know you can't really expect much greater change or much greater success from this offense because
that's
just the standard now.
This is only 2 weeks in. We got 15 other games to play.
15 other games, man. And, of course, last night, during the game and especially after the game, there were loud chants from Steelers fans, from SteelTwins Nation in Heinz Field, chanting, "Fire Canada."
Audible Fire Canada chants. It was playing even on Monday Night Football's broadcast. Everybody, millions of people that tuned in. It was a primetime matchup, and they heard it. Fans in a stadium rooting for their team, and they're chanting, "Fire our OC."
Fire Canada. And there was a legitimate group of fans. And I want to give a huge round of applause, a huge shout out to these guys, because big shout out, big kudos to them. And they had a huge Fire Canada banner sign. It almost took me back to when they had the Steel Curtain banner with the 4 players of the Steel Curtain.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it symbolized right there. Only it was Fire Canada.
And it seems like as long as Canada's going to remain here, hopefully not too much longer, but it's hard to get our expectations too high about that. Might as well bring that banner every time we play at home. Might as well.
And you know what? Because of that, not only because of that banner, not just because of the chanting, the fans are going to take over now until this guy is out of his position, until this guy is no longer our OC. And it's only week 2. So the next home game we have, best assured that the fans are going to take over because you already know the same thing is going to happen with this offense week after week after week after week, year after year after year after year, because it has been that way. The fans are now going to take over. And it's up to the Steelers if they actually want to go out of their comfort zone, want to go out of their bubble and actually put a coach on the hot seat. If they actually want to fire their offensive coordinator. If Mike Tomlin wants to do something about the guy that he handed the job to. If the Steelers front office wants to actually do something and try to bring some change, bring some positive to this offense. Because as long as Matt Canada is our OC, and I know it's been repetitively said year after year, week after week, but it's the truth. Until this guy leaves, this offense will see no growth.
Absolutely. None.
This guy is sinking this offense down.
Even further. Even when he had a younger quarterback the year after Ben retired, our offense dipped lower than we freaking should have. Our rankings from when Ben was quarterback to last year when we had 2 younger quarterbacks, they were lower. And our offense continues to sink so freaking far down the bottom of the pit.
Yes.
We are literally in the pit of misery.
And And yes, it is not all on Canada. It's not fair to put all the blame on Canada. It's still a collective disaster. It's still a collective mess. It is. Almost everybody on the offense is playing like shit. Let's be real.
Yeah, Kenny, especially Kenny. Kenny is the man that's leading the group. He's the guy at quarterback, and Kenny has been very shaky out there. He's been very off. He's forcing passes. He's just not. He doesn't have that swagger that he had in the second half of his rookie season. He's not as confident. He's forcing stuff.
He's been terrible.
Turnovers.
The O-line has been terrible. We can't get a run game going. Our receivers can't get no separation. But it also doesn't help that, it's been the same run offense for how many years now under Matt Canada?
It's been the same game plan for how many years?
It's been the same thing. Same episode every week. It's disgusting, man. And when are the Steelers going to finally say enough is enough? How can they watch this guy year after year, week after week, and be okay with this? How can they be satisfied? How can they think this is successful? How? I don't understand it. And when Tomlin was asked about it by the media, like, shout out to the media, they literally asked him, hey, how do you feel about the fire Matt Canada chants? And he's like, well, we appreciate their passion. But at the end of the day, he pretty much said, nothing's really going to change.
That's literally what he said. When talking about, because he was also asked about, are you going to make any changes when it comes to the offense? He said, we're not going to make any knee-jerk decisions. What do you mean knee-jerk decisions? Canada has been our OC for 3 years. And this is the same goddamn crap year after year. And again, it's gotten worse. And it's not necessarily a knee-jerk reaction if you get rid of this guy.
It's not.
You're just hesitant to do it because you feel like you need to owe him a favor because he got your kid into school.
It would have been a knee-jerk reaction if it was in his first year. But this is not his first year. This is his fourth year under the system, his third year as OC. And what has been the difference since his first year to this year? Literally nothing. So there's no such thing as a knee-jerk reaction. No, it's incredibly necessary. Whether you want to have a substitute OC for the remainder of the year with Mike Sullivan or our assistant offensive coordinator, whatever. Byron Leftwich is still out there. He's a familiar face. You have options. Literally anybody is better. I know we said that with Fichtner, and I don't think we could have steeped any lower than we did with him. God almighty, were we wrong.
I don't know how the hell that happened. I have no idea how the hell that was even possible.
Dude, I'm so glad and I'm so happy that it's not just Steelers fans that are seeing this. Last year, Steve Smith Sr. even blasted Matt Canada on NFL Network on some of their shows.
Yeah.
And then now recently, because of the Fire Canada chants from SteelTwins Nation in Heinz Field during last night's game, it has made the rounds to ESPN on First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp on the Pat McAfee show. They all discussed the Fire Canada chants. They have brought it up. Which means it's making rounds around the league. It's making rounds around the media, which means it's going to make rounds to the higher ups. It's going to make rounds to the Steelers themselves. It's going to make rounds. It's going to make waves to the people that have to make the necessary decisions. It's going to be up to them if they should, or if they could, or if they will make those decisions. It's up to them. And unfortunately, it shouldn't come down to this, but I'm hoping it's going to come to a point where they're going to be pressured into making a necessary decision. They're going to be pressured to get rid of this guy. It shouldn't come down to that. How can people be so inept?
Or so stubborn?
Or so blind? Why would it have to come down to you guys potentially being pressured to fire this guy to finally kick him out of there? But at this point...
Don't the stats say enough?
But if it comes down to that, fuck it. So be it. As long as this guy's out of here.
But the stats should say enough, because I got the offensive stats right here. Pickett is Pickett. He's made some questionable decisions, questionable throws. He's forcing passes. He's caused turnovers. Pickett needs to work on that, of course. But it doesn't help that Canada is the guy in charge at OC. It doesn't help that Pickett and Canada just doesn't seem to mesh well at the next level.
No, not at all. They are an awful mix.
The running game. Listen, we can't really provide a running game on offense, which sucks. But, I mean, Najee Harris only has 16 carries in 2 weeks. 16!
16 for a first-round running back.
And 74 yards. To which that could equal just about a full game for Najee, if anything.
Yeah, really. You want to
But
know
he's got 16. He's got Najee Harris, a first-round running back, has 16 carries in 2 weeks.
Yes, dude.
Are you kidding me?
How many carries does Warren have?
9.
9.
For 26 yards.
And that's in 2 weeks, man. That's in 2 weeks. They could split that into a single game, man, if they really want to use the ground game to set the tone and kill some time and help out this offense,
And
bro.
here's this stat. Pat Freiermuth, our stud tight end when healthy.
Who? Who's Pat Freiermuth? I don't know. Is he around anymore? Because I don't see him on the field.
Well, in 2 weeks,
He's barely recognizable anymore.
In 2 weeks, he has two catches for 5 yards and 1 touchdown.
That's it. That is it.
For Pat Freiermuth.
What's the point of a tight end if you're not going to use them? What's the point of a tight end if you're not going to use them up the middle of the field? Huh? What's the point? What's the point of Pat Freiermuth?
The usage of these players, man, from the running game to these targets.
It's gotten worse, dude. And you know what's the most telling stats of them all? Was last night, right? Still, we did not get 300 total yards of offense. But what's the most sad, what's the most telling, what's the most frustrating is in the fourth quarter when we were down. What was the score? 22-19, I believe, was the score when we were down and heading into the fourth quarter. It was 22-19. Throughout that entire fourth quarter, the Steelers offense generated -7 yards. They did not gain 1 positive yard total in the fourth quarter. -7, -7 yards.
See, that alone has me at a loss for words.
And we still won that game thanks to our defense.
But how much longer are you going to rely on the defense? Because you've done it for 3 years.
But how much longer can you rely on the defense when your offense is not even on the field for more than 3 minutes? Do you know how many drives we had where the offense was on the field for more than 3 minutes last night versus the Browns? 1. 3 minutes and 13 seconds was our longest offensive drive. I'm not even joking. Search it up. 3 minutes and 13 seconds was the Steelers' longest offensive drive. How can you generate anything positive with that? How can you help out the defense with that? It is so terrible, dude. This guy needs to get out of here, and I feel like it's going to come to a point where the Steelers, whether it's Tomlin, whether it's Art Rooney II, or both, they're going to be pressured into getting rid of this guy. And if that's the case, fuck it. As long as they make the decision. It shouldn't have to come down to that, but if that's the case, so be it.
Regardless.
So be it.
Regardless, we know the offense is a mess. We know that the players, despite the play calling, they, of course, when they're on the field, they have to convert, they have to connect, they have to make plays. But with the plays that Canada has drawn up, what his game plan is, it feels like that all these players and the way that they're used, it's like they have a ball and chain wrapped around their freaking ankle.
They are so limited. So
How
limited.
can you be limited? Why is a guy like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, who could be one of the best running back duos in the league, so limited to only 25 carries?
Yeah.
25 carries. How do you not utilize Pat Muth? How do you not use him in the middle of the field? Why are you not using George Pickens properly? Allen Robinson, you brought him in, not just as a veteran piece, but as an asset to the receiving, to the passing game, his receiving ability. Where the fuck is he? Connor Hayward. Where the hell's Connor Hayward?
We're not using
one of the most reliable hands on the team. Versatile pieces. I saw none of them last night.
No. We're underutilizing so many weapons. I don't understand.
This man is holding down this fucking offense. There's only so much that these players, even Kenny Pickett, can fucking do with the plays that are being fucking called. You want to explain to me why the hell we were 3rd and 1 and instead of going for a sneak to pretty much seal the deal and end the game and give our defense a fucking break for the rest of the game after everything they did? You want to have Pickett run a fucking draw?
Or better yet, just hand it to one of your star running backs. They can get 1 yard, right? I mean, I know our offensive line struggles with run blocking and trying to create some lanes and everything like that, but I also think a part of that has to do with some scheming. You can't get 1 yard in the biggest play of the game, which almost cost us.
For the love of God, we're desperate to get a first down.
We are so desperate to get a first down at this point, man. We've only scored 2 touchdowns throughout the first 2 weeks. That's it. With an O-line that we've invested a lot into, with a first-round running back, with a confident number 2 RB2 in Warren, with Pickens, second-round pick, Muth, second-round pick, Pickett, first-round pick. So much invested into this offense, and this is what we're getting in return.
We're only getting 7 points per
and yes,
game
the players need to do better. It's not all on Canada. The players need to execute, especially Pickett. Absolutely. Especially the line. Absolutely. But it all begins with Matt Canada. And it's been the same for 3 fucking years.
First thing is first. If you want change, you need to get rid of Matt Canada.
I hate that we keep saying this.
That is the number one priority for the offense. It's not to change the quarterback. It's not to change the weapons, change the running backs, none of that. The one decision that you got to make with the talent that you got, with the potential that these players have for this offense to succeed, the one priority on offense is to get rid of Matt Canada. Get him out of Pittsburgh.
Dude, they have to.
And then we can see how this offense can truly come about. See what they can do on the field, how they can execute.
You know what's the problem? They are too stubborn. They are too fucking stubborn. They're too stupid. They are in their own ways. They get stuck in their own paths. They trip over their own feet, dude. It's ridiculous. So, no, I do not think that the Steelers themselves are going to make the right decision. What I do think is not only because ESPN and First Take and the Pat McAfee show and other shows are not only talking about this, not only is that making the rounds around those popular shows, and that's going to make rounds to the Steelers organization, but now that Steelers Nation themselves are taking over at home games, via the crowd, via their voice. That is our only saving grace. So Steelers Nation, hear me loud and clear. And I beg of you, every home game, as long as this guy is OC, take over. That's the only way we're going to be able to get him out of power, out of this organization, out as OC, away from Mike Tomlin, is by our own voice. We have the power. They will not do it. So now it is our job, our responsibility, our time to let our voice be heard. And hopefully they fucking listen to us. And if they don't, continue to take over. Boycott. Fire Canada all the time. That's all I ask. Because that's our only saving grace, bro.
As soon as the offense steps foot on the field, just flat out say it. No matter what happens, just say it. Just constantly say it. And do not stop.
No.
Whoever goes to the game at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, whoever we face, don't matter. Constantly say it.
I beg of you, because that's the only way that he's going to get out of here. Mike Tomlin's not going to do anything, and the Steelers organization trusts Mike Tomlin way too much. Mike Tomlin's already shown, we're not going to make knee-jerk decisions or nothing's going to change with this offense. Well, guess what, motherfucker? If you're not going to do something, we're going to let you know that we are not satisfied. And we have not been satisfied for how many fucking years now? So now it is our time and our chance and our turn to let our voice be heard and tell you you're not doing your job right. And neither is he.
No. Everything that you've invested into, for not only the offense, but the defense as well. They are the highest paid defense in the NFL.
We have to pressure them to get rid of this guy, dude.
The Steelers have invested so much in a lot of these players throughout free agency and the draft and the re-signings and the big mega deals that they gave their players. And we're pretty much at the bottom of the barrel in the NFL.
And no, I am not optimistic that he's going to change, that he's going to improve.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
That ship has sailed.
After week 1, that was it.
Man,
that's all I need to see.
We even said this even last year when Norton II confirmed that he was going to return. And any rational Steelers fan knew that. Anyone with a brain knew that, right? Anyone could have seen this coming.
And now it's being heard throughout the entire league, throughout all the fan bases in the NFL. That was on primetime, Monday Night Football. He's got to go to another primetime matchup, Sunday night against the Raiders.
And if there's any Steelers fans in the Raiders Stadium, which we know there will be because Steelers Nation travels everywhere. Steelers Nation is everywhere, right? Let them hear it, please. I just feel like that's our only chance of getting rid of this guy because the Steelers and Mike Tomlin himself is not going to do it. The fact that he is still the OC right now, as of this recording, is enough you need to know. As far as I know, we are stuck with this guy. So now it's up to us to do Mike's bidding, to do Mike Tomlin's job. It's a shame it has to come down to
it's
that.
really
but
sad.
I feel like that's our only chance now. Otherwise, we are stuck with what we've seen the last 2 weeks. And we had 15 other games of this. Yeah. We are so stuck, man. We are so robbed. We are so trapped. So Steelers Nation, it is up to us. That's my personal opinion. It's up to us. We have to do something. They better start listening to us. This is ridiculous. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And the more we do it, the more it's going to circulate towards the big networks and the big shows, the more it's going to get up there. The more it's going to get into the locker room themselves. It's going to get real uneasy if this shit continues.
So boycott. Chant at Heinz Field. Tweet out on social media, whatever.
Go to the games and just start chanting. Chanting. When we go 3 and out, when there's a stupid call, chant. That's all we ask for at this point because I feel like that's our only saving grace. I'm not giving Tomlin the benefit of the doubt, nor are we giving Canada any optimism anymore. That ship has been sailed, and it sunk all the way down to the Atlantic. Tired of this
right
shit,
beside
man.
the Titanic.
Tired of this shit, bro. This is so ridiculous. And I hate that we keep talking about it. I hate that we keep repeating ourselves.
We're going into week 3, and this is our second video discussing about Matt Canada. We're going into week 3.
I would love for this to be the last time we ever talk about Matt Canada before he gets fired.
But I have a strong feeling this will not be the case. We're going to have to continue to preach. But how much more can we say that we have not already stated?
For how many years?
So fuck us for repeating ourselves, but Jesus Christ, we are tired of it.
Making this video is actually getting very boring now. It's actually getting frustrating. You think I want to come on here and trash Matt Canada? I mean, obviously I love to, but I'd rather not because I'd rather him be gone. That bald bastard.
See, even when his best asset, which is the running game, he still can't do anything.
No.
The usage of these players is just piss poor. It's pathetic. And give Kenny a true fucking offensive-minded coordinator. Not a guy that he remembers from his Pitt Panthers days. The chemistry they're trying to build. No.
And they are a terrible mix. They are literally gas and fire, bro, and not in a good way. Not in a good way whatsoever. They are a wildfire that's about to spread towards this entire offense. It's going to burn us all down. It's terrible.
Matt Canada is a freaking virus. And is contaminating every single buddy on offense. And you could just see it on everybody's expression, whether they're on the field or on the sidelines, how they play off. And it's pathetic.
Dude, we got to do something, man.
Tomlin's got to do something. He's got to put his fucking foot down.
But we know that's not going to happen, right? Otherwise, you would have done something by now, right?
You know, everybody has their own freaking breaking point. You know, despite the relationships that they may have.
Clearly, Tomlin has a lot more patience than all of us combined. Because, my goodness, bro. How can you watch the same episode and be satisfied every time he watches it?
It's like having the same food 7 days a week.
You know, after a while, it gets stale, you know? You don't want it no more.
It gets bland. It's like, I lost my taste for it. But now Tomlin's just like, he's just eating them up. He's eating it up. Like, yeah, I love it. I love it. I like it. We don't.
Oh, God.
We're tired of it.
This is so ridiculous, man. Let us know your guys' thoughts down below. We're going to close this out before we start repeating ourselves once again. I feel like we're going to have to make this video like 2 or 3 more times throughout the season, but hopefully that's not the case, man. Hopefully that's not the case.
If there's any hope that I will say about this, hopefully the next time we talk about Matt Canada, it's his ass finally gone from this team.
I fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, dude. Seriously. Seriously. For the better of this team. For our sake, for Steelers Nation's sake, man, seriously. But huge shout to Steelers Nation. Huge shout to the Heinz Field crowd that was chanting that. Huge shout to the group that had the Fire Canada sign, the Fire Canada banner. Like, that's incredible. I feel like that ought to be in the Heinz History Museum in Pittsburgh right alongside the Steel Curtain banner.
Yeah.
That's how great that was, man.
Keep it up,
Seriously.
guys.
And
Keep it up.
Shout out to ESPN and First Take and the Pat McAfee Show for talking about this and letting this circulate. Because the more this circulates, the more it's going to pressure the Steelers.
It needs to be known. It needs to be known. Because sweeping on the rug, it's like that like it's a freaking pile right now.
Yeah.
And they're just ignoring it.
They're just ignoring it, man. And it's terrible, dude.
And enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
And
Enough has been enough.
And
but
it's
when
time
is
for a
enough going to
change.
be enough, man?
It's time for a change.
Yeah, to quote the late great Owen Hart, enough is enough. It's time for a change. Seriously, man. Anytime now. Fingers crossed. Let us know your guys' thoughts down below. How you guys feeling about that? How you guys feel about Matt Canada? Let us know everything down below. Otherwise, see you in the next one, man. Here we go, Steelers. At the end of the day, we got the Raiders coming up. So let's prepare for that. Otherwise, don't get your hopes up too greatly because you know who's still in charge, unfortunately. But see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!